Welcome to your journey of healing with the Healing Podcast, hosted by licensed clinician Monique Owe and co-host Dr. Mohn.
Thank you for tuning into the Healing Podcast. I am your host, Monique Owe, and I am joined by my lovely co-host here,
Dr. Mohn.
Okay, so today's topic is I cheated. Let me explain the reasons. So this episode is about, of course, if you are a person who has cheated in your relationship and you want to kind of discuss, these are the reasons why. This is not an episode to condemn you for cheating. I'm not going to do this. This is not what the Healing Podcast is going to be about, because we want to help you heal and make things better. We already know what you did was wrong. That's an obvious thing. I'm not excusing cheating. I'm not trying to say it's okay, but I'm saying let's go into why. Because here's the thing. If we're going to stop doing something, we need to know why, what was going on. So the reasons. Well, one reason a person might cheat, they're not happy, right? They're not happy. So they went outside the current relationship they're in. Dr. Mohn, what's another reason somebody might cheat?
They might want their cake and eat it too. They might just be bored in the relationship and want more, or want to experience things that they may feel like their partner doesn't, want to experience or won't.
That's true. I think, maybe they have an attention, they're distracted. Maybe their partner is neglecting them, they feel. And this person happened to just come in and give them some attention, right? Like you said, that they may have been lacking. Maybe there were some issues in the relationship that were causing the strain, and this person came in and made it feel like a breath of fresh air. So you start talking to them, and it leads to a moment of infidelity or something like that. Stuff like that. I don't know if everyone is just out here cheating. This episode is not about if you're just out here cheating just to cheat and you've never been faithful. Well, that's a problem that you have. So that is just basically, you may not need to be in a committed relationship till you get to the root of the problem about why you can't be faithful. But we're talking about a matter where something happened, you have cheated. I'm not even going to say it was a one time. Maybe it was one person, but you may have done it a few times. But you're feeling bad about it. You know it's a consequence, and you're just trying to explain this is what happened. I wasn't just trying to hurt my significant other. I fell into it. They'll say, they'll say it just happened, right, Dr. Mohn? Have you heard it? It just kind of happened. How can it happen, Dr. Mohn? Let's go into the lead up, though. How does it happen? How does it start? I don't think anybody goes out today. Okay, there it is. But cheat with him or her. It's a build up.
Some people do.
Some people just go out.
But I get what you're saying. Typically it doesn't happen that way.
Okay, let's talk about even as professionals when we've seen it.
Yeah.
I know I've had both. I've had clients who've been cheated on, and I've had clients who have cheated. So I can go into some reasons why it happens. And I know how the other person, we've talked about in a previous episode, how the person might feel that's been cheated on. Let's talk about the person who's cheating or who has cheated. What have been some reasons you've heard why they may have done it?
That they were missing something, or they've, expressed their happiness and it went on deaf ears.
Okay.
Expressed, they need, some of their needs, and the partner just didn't, follow through, or partner wasn't around enough. Maybe they needed more time or, more attention. Those are some of the things that I could think of.
That makes sense. I think, what happens? Those things are clear, right? Something is usually lacking somewhere, and then you do it, right? I'll say this, like they'll say many times, if a woman does it, she's probably already checked out of the relationship she's in. She's probably in a space where I've already said it, and at this point it's over. That's a generalization, but sometimes it's very true. If a man does it, sometimes they'll just say it wasn't always an emotional thing, but it was something that my partner, my significant other, maybe my spouse, she just wasn't doing anymore. And this person came in, they were, maybe they'll say the person that they're with let themselves go, like considerably, not just a little weight gain, a little weight loss. Like it was just, they don't give any effort anymore. They never comb their hair much. They wear the same sweatpants all the time. This is not about makeup, no makeup for the woman or the guy. Just you wearing that same t-shirt that you always do with the same holes. You don't get up off the couch. You always same thing. Come home, get on the couch, watch TV. Or come home, go straight to the room, get your game. And if the person, hey, let's do something. Let's go out. Let's have something. They don't. Nope, I don't want to do it. Finances is an issue. If the wife or the woman in this relationship feels a burden, they always have to pick up the slack, always have to kind of make up for the bills, always have to something happens in the male in the situation, the partner, the husband they don't know what to do. They just sit around. The wife has to be the one to figure it out. But that could get to be pretty stressful, I think, Dr. Mohn. And at some point, she may look at somebody else that just was not that person. Like a guy might be like, no, they don't do that. They're responsible. They look like they know about, no, I handle my business. And that can be attractive to her. And she can have a conversation in general, and then it opens the door. It cracks the door. And once that door is cracked, you gotta be real careful. Gotta close that thing. But sometimes it just keeps opening, right? Dr. Mohn, it keeps opening, right? Those are the reasons it can happen, right? Well, we know there are reasons. So I'm not excusing cheating. That's the behavior you shouldn't do. But here's the thing. Dr. Mohn, if I tell my partner, let's say that's where we were. We weren't happy. We've expressed that we weren't happy. And I'm telling you, we gotta do something because I don't know if I can say I'm thinking about cheating. Remember, we talked about, you can't say I'm thinking about cheating on you, but I think you can say it and say it. How can I get my partner to understand it? Before I cheat, how do I get my partner to understand, like, look, this is a problem. If you don't do something, we're going to keep growing further apart, I guess. How does the partner say that to the person for the other one to receive it? Like, okay, I need to do something.
You can communicate it to them. You can go to therapy. You can say it 100 times. And I feel like it doesn't mean that it wasn't received. If they don't see that it's important, that what your needs are important, then they probably don't want to do it. Some relationships where, one partner is good with how things are. And so you can say you want this or you need more of this, and you can drive it on home and they can say, okay, I hear you and I'm going to do better. But if they don't, it's because they don't want to. They didn't see that it was important enough, for them, because that's what you wanted to change. So.
Right. So I think what happens then is you, the person who has expressed it.
Yes.
You've expressed it. You expressed it. You did the therapy. The person feels like, no, we're good. Well, then you have to make a decision. Now, let's say you don't want to leave yet. But what happens is if you communicate that with the wrong person, right? That person who might be doing what you admire or wanted. It starts small sometimes with just a little text or at work, just talking. We talk about our issues and then it grows to something else. Then it elevates, then it escalates. And it keeps going, it keeps going. Next thing you know, you have done something. It may not always get to an actual physical act of intimacy, but it gets to something where it's a violation because you clearly shared something that you can't tell your other partner about, like, hey, let me tell you what my discussion was at work. It's something that you can't tell the person you're with. So now you've done it, right? Well, let's take an inventory on that. Well, these are the reasons why you may have cheated. Does it make you a bad person? No, I'm not going to say you're a bad person. Poor choice. Not a bad person. I'm not going to say that. Every poor decision we make doesn't make us a bad person. But I think you have to ask where you are now. Has that moment of infidelity or going outside of your relationship, whatever it was, whatever you did, is it worth, do you want to go to that? Do you want to stay in that? Or do you want your relationship? One, I think you're going to have to assess if your partner finds out, or let's say you were honest and you told them, this is what happened. Let me be honest with you. Do they want to stay or do they not? If they stay, are they going to change the thing that may have caused the issues? Like if you guys had a communication problem and they still don't want to communicate, then you're going to have to decide, well, can we even make it? If they have a finance problem where they're not responsible with their money, and even though this happened major, they're still not going to change the finances and the way they manage their money. Well, then you have to decide, can I keep doing this? Because otherwise you're going to keep doing it, right, Dr. Mohn? If the issue was, and again, I'm not talking about habitual, the people who are who cheat all the time. I'm not talking about those people. I'm talking about this was an issue that happened between us, or the person did it. It was like that time. And I tell my partner, we find out, we talk about it. But that person doesn't change the issue. Can that relationship survive?
It can, but you won't be happy. You're saying, surviving, everyone is happy. No. So you just have to learn how to be unhappy, unfulfilled in the relationship. I don't know if that's a relationship anybody should be in, but again, it depends. I guess sometimes some people have to stay together because of, like, if I leave, even though I'm the one taking care of the bills, I can't leave because you do something that helps me, so I can't really leave, right? I don't know. Maybe you clean better. Maybe you maintain the house better. Maybe you're a good protector though. Like, maybe you're a better organizer. So if I leave, I lose that. If it's affection and that person won't become affectionate, if you leave, will you find affection? I don't know. Is it guaranteed? You don't know what you're going to get out there. So I think you have to look at what caused you to cheat and can that issue be fixed? If it was an internal thing in yourself, then you're going to have to go to some therapy and get to the root of the problem. I am going to say, I think when cheating happens, there was something that was an issue that wasn't addressed. I'm always going to say that. There was something there. I don't know who had it that wasn't addressed. You might have looked over it, ignored it over time, over the years. But whatever that issue is, whoever is doing it was ignored. And then it resulted into, unfortunately, an act of infidelity. And here we are. So, Dr. Mohn, the person that cheated,
If they're feeling bad about it, what are some other feelings that they're feeling? They feel bad about it. What else? Guilt, regret.
Regrets, yes, I want to say remorse.
Okay. They feel like I made a mistake.
Yes.
Okay. Will the person ever forgive me? Right. Will that, will my partner ever forgive me?
Is this over? Yeah.
Right. Will this end our relationship?
Right.
Right. Will this be the end of that? Did I lose a good thing? Right. Did my one act of impulsivity, will I now lose the one I want to be with? Right. All those things are going through that person's mind. Right. And they want to change it. They're going to work on it now. The thing is, there's some consequences after that. Right. There's some consequences. Once you cheat for whatever the reason, well, let's say you talked about it. Your partner now knows it's out there. You guys are going into the therapy maybe, or at least having discussions about it. What are the consequences that come from that, though? While you're trying to get back to the place of healing, what's going on after that?
Well, you have to, I really feel like you need to be in tune with what your partner needs at this point. What do they need to be okay, or to be able to come around, or while they're working on forgiving you? And so you got to be understanding that they may not want you to, be intimate with them. They may not want to talk to you for, a long period of time. Yeah. It may just be co-parenting, or we're just roommates right now while I'm trying to figure out what it is. And one thing you can't do, is say, well, we're married, or we're supposed to be getting married, or we've been together for over 10 years and you know me, and all of that went out the window when you went and did what you did.
That's true. So the consequence is you might not get things to go back to the way they were for a little while, or better. It might take a while. Can it get there? Yeah, it can get back there. I think it might take some time, and you have to be willing to deal with this is the consequence of me and my action. I have to get back there. I have to get back to be patient to get back there. Now, do I think there's a limit? Yeah. Now, if you guys have been in therapy for a year, consistent, and you're actively working, trying to do things, but it's still not going anywhere, where the person still won't talk to you, they still won't be intimate with you again, they won't even try, then I think that person needs some more time to heal. You have to ask yourself, can you deal with that? Is there a time for that? What about 3 years? 3 years of still not talking to the person, really? And is it fair? I don't know. I'm talking about, is it fair? I don't know.
I just say, as long as both parties are still willing to work on the relationship, I'm not going to put a time limit on there.
Okay.
Because that means that they both still want this. And yeah, it may seem to us like, okay, 3 years and you guys haven't been intimate. But if you both are putting in the work, you're being understanding, your partner is still showing up and, still getting their feelings out, then I'd say, hey, continue working until one says, okay, I just can't, no longer do it.
So I think in that aspect, if it's taking you that, and I don't know what they did, depending on if they did that to them, but I think for you, I'm talking about the other person, I don't think they can be there. I think that's a sign they can't be there. I think they cannot deal with it. Whatever they're trying to get over and trying to work through, it's not working. I think they're trying to force themselves to be there. That might be a sign you may need. I said may. First of all, let me just say this. Whatever I say, you don't have to do. You're an adult. But what I'm saying is, if it's taking you 3 years and you still can't get over it, you still can't get past what the person did, you're still not talking to them. I'm talking to the other person now, the one who was cheated on. You may not be able to be there. You may be trying to force yourself to be there, right? Because you think that's the thing you should do. No, maybe not. Technically, it was adultery. If you're married, if you're in a relationship, you're not married yet. What's tying you to that person? Why are you still there, right? Maybe it's somebody else right now. Maybe you need to focus on you. Maybe that person hurt you to the point where you need to focus on you only. And you have to realize how to be apart. If you have children, how can we co-parent versus being together? Until you get to the place where you can be with that. Now, for the person on the other end who did the cheating, now you can't force that person to be ready, but you do have to ask, like, look, will it get ready? Let me ask you honestly, what I did, can you get over it? You do have to ask that hard question. Will you be able to ever get over it? Because it has been a significant amount of time in my mind for me where I feel like you should at least be at this point where you at least talk to me, and you won't. Can you deal with that for another few years? If you can deal with that, with them not really talking to you and being around you, cool, you got to stay. But if you feel like I can't deal with this was the one issue that we had anyway, which led to it. Okay, that's not really being fair. Here we are now. You still not talking to me. You have to ask yourself, can you be there? Will you feel like the bad person? Probably so. You'll feel like I cheated and I'm the one walking away. But you have to ask, is it healthier for both of you to do that? Is it healthy for that person? Painful, I get, but is it going to be healthier in the long run if you step away and let them heal and you change whatever was in you that caused it? It could have been just this situation with this person. Okay. But before we get into this a little bit further, let's go ahead and make a segue here. Let's go into, you guessed it, the situation. Dr. Mohn, what's our situation for today?
All right. Thank you, Monique. So this situation Monique saw online. She figured it'd be worth discussing. So this is how it reads. Husband and I met as co-workers at Taco Bell. I always had a plan to get a better job. I went to school and did. 5 years later, he's still there, happy and hanging with younger co-workers. He's 36, no car, and any discussion of a better job causes fights. Advice, please. Thank you, Monique, for sharing with this one. This one is interesting. Okay, so it sounds to me like they were both on the same, on the same level. Mm-hmm. They're both working at Taco Bell, got to know each other, and eventually they evolved to getting married, which is awesome. I'm just wondering if they ever talked about goals, plans for the future. Typically, I don't know how long it has been. How long they were dating before they got married, but at some point, I hope, they talked about goals and kids and their future. But it sounds to me, whether they did or not, they're no longer on the same level. What I mean by that is they no longer have the same goals. She went and got a job and better job and went to school, got a better job 5 years later, and he's just chilling. So I'm wondering, during this 5 years while you're out, getting your education and working on, your future, were there ever any discussions about what his plans are? Or, and I'm definitely not blaming this on the spouse who, got their education, but, did you ever say, hey, so what's your plan? What are we doing here? This is the profession I'm, working on going in. Where are you at with this? It doesn't sound like it. And even something simple as not having any car. So are you dropping him off at work? Is he catching a bus? What's going on with that? It doesn't seem like there's a fire up under his feet anywhere. And so my issue is when you say causes fights, now that you are talking to him about getting a better job, he's arguing with you about it. This is an issue. It sounds like a huge problem. And I think that he needs to understand that, you want more and that he needs, at 36 years old, he needs to have a little more. I don't knock anyone who works for Taco Bell, McDonald's, Burger King, or anyone. A job is a job. However, the plan should be to always be working yourself up and to be making more, especially to have things like a car. So I definitely think that I don't condone fighting, but I definitely think that some more hard conversations need to be had. And then you probably, if he still's not, with it, it sounds to me like you both are moving in two different directions. So that would be my take on
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Mohn, for that. So although this wasn't like a write-in, I saw this. I think the issue is here, two different playing fields. Like Dr. Mohn mentioned, did you have a conversation ever about what your future goals are or not? But even if you did, things can change. Maybe you were content with this was going to be that, but then you may have gone on, you were exposed to something, you wanted more, and your spouse didn't. Maybe they were still content with what you guys discussed before. Like, for example, let's say, I'm going to make it real basic. Let's say you both lived in an apartment. You were okay with the apartment. You were fine. You were okay with, we got our bills met. We're okay with this car. And that's where it was. That was a discussion. You got married and you were okay with that. But then as you got exposed and you did things, your spouse was still okay with that. He's okay with the interaction. I think it says at Taco Bell that might be entertaining for him being the lead person, the older person being around them. Maybe that makes him smile, but it's not enough for you. I think it just means your goals have changed. So what should you do? The person asked if they should leave. What was that in essence? Did they say, should they leave or what should they do?
No, they just said advice, please. So they just want, to
know about since the person. Well, I think you have to ask, will you be able to tolerate the fact? It doesn't sound like the spouse wants to move up right now. I don't think he's going to leave Taco Bell. You can talk to them, say they should want more. At least either they don't have to leave Taco Bell. They can become a manager.
Right.
They can become the general manager, right? The regional manager.
Right.
It's asking them more like, do you see yourself doing anything else than working in the store as I'm assuming they're a worker. I don't think it doesn't sound like they're a manager. You have to ask them, do they aspire to be something else in that business? Right? Because there's nothing wrong with being in the food industry. You shouldn't want to remain in the same place in the food industry unless it's giving you a tremendous amount of money, or you're a bartender. Bartenders make pretty good money sometimes, so they might be okay. But if you're a server or a person like Taco Bell, you're taking orders, do you want more? I think before I was cool with the apartment. So I want to be honest. I was cool with the apartment, but I don't want the apartment anymore. I want a house now. Or I want a better apartment in a better area. My income can I'm doing a little bit better, but I need you to kind of do better. Maybe ask them first why they're so happy with their working. What is it that the younger kids give to your spouse that he feels like it's good for him? Maybe they make him laugh. Maybe they just entertain him. Maybe he's depressed and that's where he gets his joy. He feels like that kind of helps him to get, feel a little happiness. So first have a conversation, be honest, have a conversation, and then see if your goals still align. And sometimes you got to put a bug in somebody's ear. Maybe he didn't think about being a manager. Maybe he only saw himself being a worker. But if they can't, if they say, nope, this is what I want to do, just want to be a worker, I think you got a situation there where you might realize we're going to have irreconcilable differences because it's not going to go. You're not going to be able to be happy in that. How can you? Right? If you continue to elevate and this person still keeps making the same amount of money, it's going to cause issues in the future anyway. Even if you decide to buy the bigger house and you pay for it and he only contributes to smaller things in the household, it's probably going to cause some issues down the line. So talk to them, be honest, and then you're going to have to maybe decide, will this be able to continue? That's what I think from that situation. So anyway, but if you are out there and you want to write into the Healing Podcast, go to email support@thehealingpodcast.com or go to thehealingpodcast.com and click on the contact tab. We want to mention our sponsor, healingexpressionsllc.com. If you're in the Atlanta, Georgia area, you want some therapeutic services, some individual therapy, couples therapy, maybe family therapy, please go ahead and go to healingexpressionsllc.com, hit the contact tab, see if you can get some help today. All right, so back into I've cheated. Let me tell you the reasons. Well, let me explain the reasons. I think we know the reasons, right? There's something you're not fulfilled and you were not being fulfilled. And unfortunately, you stepped out. I will say you may be wondering, can it be repaired? I think so. I think anything can be repaired just about, right, Dr. Mohn? Mm-hmm. There's a possibility of repair. Maybe make you guys stronger. I think the main thing will be if both of you want it to be repaired. You have to ask your partner. And I know it may feel like, but it was just this one time. Yeah, sometimes that one time does destroy everything, and it's unfortunate. I think you'll learn to be better for it in the future. I think you'll realize acting off an impulse, it's not worth it. You're going to have to do whatever you have to do to not put yourself in a predicament where you react off of impulse. But if the person is willing to stay, I think work on it. I think the way you stay is you both got to be honest, though. I think the partner, too, the one who got cheated on, they have to be honest, too. You have to ask them to be honest with you about how they feel about it. But also, if there were some issues, can they acknowledge it? I think one issue I have is when people always, Dr. Ma, I will say that when relationship and only one person wants to admit the problem, the other person feels like they never do anything wrong. I think that is a recipe for disaster. I don't know. Do you feel that way, Dr. Ma?
I definitely feel that way.
Okay. It can't always be one person.
Right.
We both are in this thing together. We both probably do things that the other person doesn't like. It may not be at the same time. Just saying, it can't just be where you're the perfect one and they're the one that's always messing up. Because here, I'm going to give you this one. How about this? Okay, let's say that is the case. You feel like I'm the one that's always good. You're the one always messing up. So then my question to you is why you kept accepting it then?
Yes.
Right? Why did you, if you were so good and that person was so bad, well, why did you stay so long? When you saw it, you've been seeing it for years, but then you want to blame them. Well, how come you didn't talk about it? How come you didn't hold them accountable? How come you kept doing what you were doing, knowing they were not doing what they were not doing, and you just accepted it? So that's where I put it on you. That's where you need to change. That's what I mean. It can't always be the other person doing it. Something you're doing or not doing also needs to change to make a better environment, right? But I will say, I'm going to say this as far as healing. No. Can it get better? Yes. Can you get back a strong relationship? Yes. You both, Dr. Mo, will have to go to therapy, you think?
Definitely therapy.
Okay. I think they need to take a trip together. I'm not saying it has to be intimate, but I think they need some time together. If you have children involved, children probably got to be away from you for just, I don't know, a weekend, maybe? and have an honest conversation. If you don't believe in therapy, can it get better without therapy, Dr. Mohn?
I think that it could. I think that communication is always the key. Communication is key for a lot of things. So you'll probably hear me say that a lot, but I think that it's important because, we change, our needs change, and so, I think that a lot of times, you could be with someone for years and still not be able to be vulnerable, still not be able to tell them everything. And so I think, and so you think that, well, this is how my spouse is. They probably don't want to do that, or they probably won't do that. Well, have you talked to them? Have you said, do they, because if you're taking these vows and you believe in your vows for better or for worse, then then you should be prepared for, you want to know your partner. So being able to talk to them and tell them what it is you need or what it is you like is important. And you never know. They might say, hey, okay, I can do that, and so instead of going out, to get something from somebody else, because I do think that what you said earlier is that, you'll go out there, but there are some things that can't be replaced, that your spouse does that can't be replaced. So you're going out maybe for one or two things when your spouse is over here can give you 30. So, and you haven't even communicated with them to even talk, to even see if these little things that you feel like you need, and they might, and I'm not calling them big, small, but these things that you need, that, talking to your partner to see if that is something that they can do or willing to work with you on. So I think communication is so important. And I think that you can communicate, if you can communicate effectively, be able to hear your partner and receive what they are saying, then you don't necessarily have to go to therapy for that.
Fair enough. So as we know, it's going to be communication. And that's what therapy is going to help you do anyways, to communicate. That's what it's about, right? So yes, as long as you're willing to communicate, yes, you can make it without therapy. But I think you both are going to have to be vulnerable and honest and be willing to accept the other person's honesty. That's the issue there. So acknowledge what you did, apologize for what you did, change the behavior. I do talk to your spouse and be willing to take a temperature both, and you guys can get back. So I can understand that is why you may have cheated. And then understand if that person's not going to change their behavior, whatever was happening that caused the cheating or whatever it was, maybe you moved somewhere and you moved to a place where you have no support at all. And the person that you're with, they're good because they got a good job, but you're like, I have nobody here, no more family, no more friends, and I'm just depressed, and they won't even acknowledge that with you. You have to ask yourself, can you deal with that? Okay. But what I will say is things can get better. So Dr. Mohn, anything else about I've cheated? Let me tell you the reasons.
No.
Okay. I thank you guys for tuning into the Healing Podcast, and we appreciate your support. And let me leave you with this. And this is very simple. Guess what? Relationships get stronger when both of you are willing to understand mistakes and forgive each other. Thank you for tuning into the Healing Podcast. We will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.